Hello, hello, I'm Florentina Faconti and welcome to another episode of Horror Movie Reviews. Today I'm going to be talking about Carrie, Would You Rather and Tales from the Lodge. And as usual, starting with the oldest one, it's Carrie. This one was really good. I really enjoyed it, which was really surprising because I don't usually like teen high school type films. And I didn't know that it was a Stephen King story before I watched it, so that just made me even more excited about it. I didn't really know much about it going into it. I knew the beginning scene and the prom scene. And the whole thing is basically a build-up to that big famous prom scene in the final act of the film, which usually I'd get quite bored of because I'm not really a fan of slow burners, but this had me absolutely hooked. It was so interesting. And Sissy Spacek, I think that's how you say her name, who plays Carrie, was so good. I think she played that character brilliantly and I felt so sorry for her and I was getting so angry when people were like picking on her and bullying her. I just got so involved in this and some parts were so intense. I didn't particularly find it scary, but my dad said he went to see it in the cinema when it came out and it was terrifying. I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10 because I did really love it, but I wasn't very scared. And also I won't talk about it in detail because I've mentioned it with quite a few of these older horror films, but there was a lot of unnecessary nudity. I don't know, just watching it in 2021, just nudity for the sake of nudity makes me uncomfortable. But other than that, absolutely loved it. Next up is Would You Rather. I've wanted to watch this one for a while, but I've never been in the mood for it because I'm really sensitive about eyes, and the thumbnail for it is a razor blade to the eye, and I just made me really uncomfortable. I was never in the right mood to watch it. I do really like these films where they're not particularly scary, but they're quite gory and there's these really horrible and uncomfortable torture scenes. And I thought the cast were really good and they worked really well together and got me so involved in this game. And I just love that every character had their own way of dealing with what was going on. Like some were really distressed, some were enjoying it. Just that variety was so interesting. I thought this was quite predictable and nothing really surprised me about it. But I didn't really care. I mean, I would have preferred it if there was a little bit more suspense, but there were moments that were still really tense and exciting, even though I knew exactly what was going to happen. I think for that reason, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 because it was just a little bit too predictable for me, but I did really like it. And finally, Tales from the Lodge. I watched this when I was going through my Dustin Denbury Burns and Tom Stourton joint obsession. So I feel like maybe I enjoy this one a little bit more than some other people because I just sit there and I'm like, oh, they're so lovely. Honestly, it's not a great horror. The actual story of it isn't really that scary or exciting. Some of the stories they tell are better than others, and they all explore different horror subgenres, so you get a bit of everything. My favourite story was from Mackenzie Crook's character though. It was really like creepy and grotesque. I just think it would have been a little bit better if they focused on the main plot a little bit more, rather than just like a chill film where they're telling scary stories and then it suddenly changes. And spoiler alert, it doesn't really finish its own story. Like, I'm all for a cliffhanger, but this just felt unfinished. I think this is a good British film, and if you're a fan of the people in it, like if you want to watch Johnny Vegas being Johnny Vegas, then you'll probably enjoy it. And I think for all those reasons, and I really hate to say it, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. I did really enjoy it for the cast, and I've seen it a few times now because there's nothing too intense or complex about it. But yeah, I don't really rate it as a horror, and this is horror movie reviews, not British comedy reviews. So yeah, 4 out of 10. So yeah, that was episode 9 of Horror Movie Reviews. Coming up next month in episode 10, I'm going to be talking about The Omen, Escape Room and The Boy. Thanks for watching, give it a like if you liked it, subscribe if you want more of this, but as always, stay safe and look after yourselves. Bye!